Morning folks, it's vlog time again. As many of you will know, that we've just had the weekend for the Wall of Famers for the Invitational weekend. That was brilliant. I had a great time. It was ace to have kind of laughing and shouting in the woods and just everything that goes with it. Great time. From that as well though, it's a big learning experience. I get a lot of feedback and it's really useful. And honestly, I'm kind of the person who likes to drill down into those kind of things anyway, and it's just really interesting. So from that, we had based on some of that feedback, we had about maybe 2% of people who where GNAR Bike Park was something other than they expected. One of those pieces of feedback was it's not really like a trail centre. Well, you know, in fairness, it's by design, it's as far removed from a trail centre as possible. So, you know, that'll either be an adjustment of the point of view and just come to realise that well, that's how it's supposed to be, or you know, or maybe they prefer trail centres, and that's cool. That's no probs. And for another 1%, there was a bit of feedback saying it's a bit easier than I was thinking. It's a bit tame for me. Again, no worries. We're only on 2-star tracks, so we're going up and up and up from there. However, that didn't mean that it was a 98% success rate, which get in perfect, and there was some really good feedback from that. So from the 98% of people who totally got what I'm doing here, the feedback from them was immensely important. And it was a real mixed bag as well. Some of them were there was a couple of features that on this visit, on this weekend, they just weren't quite ready for yet, but they still had managed to like, I'll take one example. So there was one chap had hit the small little double the whoops and stuff on elementary, and kind of got their head around that, and had a go at the step down at the front of Get to the Chopper, but just wasn't quite ready this time for the small gap on there. Now that's fine, because again, that's what we're all about. It's just build up to it and build up. But then on the other end of the scale, we had a number of people, and this is the real kind of heartwarming thing, is just kind of to know that you're going in the right direction. We had a number of people who, after tackling the drop and after giving the gap after Get to the Chopper, if you've not been up here before, there's on the top of one of the tracks, there's a step down that has two choices. You can do a real small, like, single log thing, or there's a couple of log size step down onto a banking, and then that shoots you up over a single bike length gap. Now obviously, because people don't get a chance to practice gaps very often, that can lead to all kinds of mind games, trying to get yourself ready to hit it. And there was a bunch of people who did, like a lot of people who did, and so that basically, for want of a better phrase, for a lot of people that popped their gap cherry. You know, they'd never had an opportunity to get one before, and they got it. And once you're over it, and anybody who's already doing gaps and done them will know this, that once you get over it, it's that some of those mind games just vanish and disappear, and they allow you to kind of get the feel of it and go on to the next one. Well, and that's exactly what some people did. So they headed over onto the track that's being named. Johnny Salter won that one. Just need him to get in touch. But over onto the track that's going to be named shortly, and over there's like, it's 12-foot log to log, but you're actually shooting it around 15, 18 feet. And you know what? There's a whole bunch of people went from never hitting gaps before to going over and hitting that one. I had some people going off the bigger ski jump at the bottom of Get to the Chopper, and that was the biggest jump that they'd ever hit before prior to this weekend. And then some of those moved it a bit further on and went for the big kicker, at the bottom of what was GDH1 and going for the big kicker to the bank. And you know, this is for them totally new experiences, and you know, they're getting to have a bite at stuff that they don't generally try before. And basically, and this is the real important thing for me, getting back in the car and feeling like they've got better. Just perfect. That's exactly what I was hoping for. I think what I'd like to those people that did that, what I'd like to get across to them is that, hey, there's no need to stop there. So for the people who didn't get this step down into the gap last weekend, this weekend just gone, and because I can see that there's been a lot of tracks come down the alternate route to take you around, so you don't have to hit the gap. But there's also been plenty of tyre tracks on the little gap as well. But for those people, the people who didn't get it, I know, and they know as well, that there's now a massive target painted on this, and they will come back and they will conquer it. It'll happen. It's a bike length. It's all head games. You're not actually launching that far. You don't need to pedal into it. You just let it happen underneath you, and we both know that they're going to get it. They're going to come back and hit it, which may lead on to coming over and hitting this one. Now, from what I can see, there's a good amount of people have got in at this one, which is great. When we look at the landing, there's a good kind of common area just in here of put downs, which is kind of expected. There seems to be another kind of common area around here that could just be front wheel going down. I did see one or two people, namely you, Adam Wharton, fly the whole thing and get it down into here somewhere and just miss it out completely, which you can do. You get a run straight down into a bit of a twisty section, but there's this whole area down here in this kind of put down area that you can literally come in at absolute full pace and knock it straight through. But there's been a good amount of people who have been over and hit this as well. Now some of them, and again this is the thing that's great, some of them have done this and something this size for the first time ever. It's just, I mean, it's perfect. That's why I've built this place. But for the people who have hit it, I know that they're in the minority. But for the people who have hit it and are thinking, I think I can go again, well, that's part of me being over here and exploring this. We'll get over it a bit and I'll explain. So I was explaining to a few people that I was just relieved to have got that part and that side of it organised. Yes, there's Gasoline Alley that's got to go in, and I'm going to go and have a check of that out shortly. Beggars Canyon, it might actually need a machine over it to make that one happen, because it's a big build. But on that side, for whatever reason, it's just the way that this bit of woods is. There's been a lot of blown trees and stuff's really packed tightly together. And as soon as you get over from there, where I've built and into the bit that I'm going to build into, you get all this stuff. If you can see all the grass on the ground here, all this is just open. The tree spacing is so much better. I mean, the potential for putting landings in is brilliant. That's what you need, a bit of open space. You can fashion a kicker and a takeoff. Yeah, you can do it in tight spots, but you do need to, certainly for the confidence side of things, to have a bit of room in a landing. And there's just so much more room over here. I mean, check this out over here. Look, I mean, just the tree spacing, and it's, I know I keep going on about the tree spacing, but it's so important. It's it's like that bit off Step Brothers. There's just so much more room for activities. I mean, you can see behind and across this way as well. This whole section over here, it's just much bigger tree spacing, much easier for a builder to work in. Now, I did get a couple of chances over the way. I didn't get to make a vlog. I wish I could have done. I was obviously a bit busy, but I did get a chance to pop over a couple of points over the weekend. And I noticed that one or two people were really flying this. And if you're flying this one a long way, then my hat's off to you and congratulations, because it does kick you up, and it is a bit of a, you know, as you come off this lip, it is a real kick and a boost forwards. And for the guys who had the nerve just to let the brakes off and give it some, bang on. So we're just over on Gasoline Alley now. As you can probably see here, we did have a little bit of rain last night. There was like a couple of storms, but as you can probably tell from just doing this, it ain't going to be today that we pack this in. Still, it could do with getting a little bit wet yet. There are some storms forecast. There is some wet weather coming. I don't know whether it'll be like last night's, where there was like a bit of thunder and lightning, a bit of a show, a downpour, and then it just like immediately dried, or whether it's going to get a bit more wet. But that needs to be wet before I can pack it in. Right, well that was good. I'm just getting back from a bit of a measure up and a fact-finding mission over in the area where it's got the bigger tree spacing that I videoed in this morning. So the way that I've got things at the moment is I take a lot of inspiration from stuff that's built in British Columbia, and I've got a lot of photographs of features and tracks from around Squamish and Nelson, and there's a lot of stuff over there that I just personally find inspiring. You know, it's the sort of stuff that I'd really like to ride, and therefore build it over here too. So as I perhaps spoke about earlier, the building is way easier over there, and so now it's a case of having to measure up and comparing and contrasting to photos. The one thing in that is, if you've got a rider and a bike in a photograph, you can take a pretty rough measurement of if the rider's year big or the wheelbase of the bike's year big, then you can take a pretty good guess at how big the features and what the dimensions of that are. It just allows you to get a bit more of an accurate kind of scale on it, and this was just about checking that some of those are going to fit in there, and they are. So far up here we've got what I class as the hardest one being a 2-star track. So that I think I videoed over on where the gap jump is and the kicker. So that's on a 2-star track. Now I'm not going to rigorously put my teeth in. Rigorously stick to just going up in half stars. So this next track might be a 3-star, or depending on how the build goes, 2.5, 3, could be 3.5, depends on what goes on. I might have to stick a slightly easier one in between, just to keep the kind of flow of things going. But yeah, so it'll be interesting tonight. I'm kind of looking forward to getting home later on and finding out if this stuff's going to fit in there, and if I can start kind of mentally designing the next track in my head and getting that through. Perfect situation today would be for me to actually be building Gasoline Alley and getting that bit compacted in, but like I say, I've had a look at the forecast, and it's a couple of days off before the rain comes in for that. I'm still confident that I'm going to have it done for opening, so that you'll be able to ride it, but just kind of want to get them packed in and make sure they're down nice and hard, and get a few days for them to settle, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's all going to be good. Anyway, I have got some jobs to crack on with around here, so I'll get on, and thanks very much for your time, and I'll see you soon.